Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Bridge City News. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. Hundreds airlifted to safety as the military mobilizes to Northwest Territories and more than 200 wildfires burn out of control. Plus, as heat warnings grip the West, several communities break records and Calgary declares outdoor water restrictions. And the cost of living for Canadians goes up again.
Your nation. Your province. Your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Jeanette Roche.
Thank you for joining us. Members of the Canadian Armed Forces have been mobilized to the Northwest Territories today as wildfires threaten communities and hundreds of people have been airlifted to safety. The military is expected to send a helicopter and airplane along with 124 soldiers. There are currently over 230 active wildfires in the territory and 5 communities have been evacuated. More than 21,000 square kilometers have burned so far this year. Yellowknife declared a state of local emergency during an emergency council meeting last night. Scorching heat is a real factor in Western Canada this week. The top 10 hottest places in the country on Monday were all in British Columbia, with the Fraser Canyon communities of Lytton and Lillooet both breaking the 40 Celsius mark. Environment Canada says 20 communities broke heat records, and with the high humidity, it feels even warmer than 40 degrees in many areas. No relief is in sight until Thursday, which is creating concern for the BC Wildfire Service, as they're reporting 380 wildfires burning in the province, with 168 out of control. Meanwhile, several heat records were broken in Alberta as well, and the city of Calgary has declared a stage 1 outdoor water restriction due to continued drought conditions. Under the water utility bylaw, the restrictions can be put in place to manage water use in times of shortage. The first stage, which is the least restrictive, limits how often residents can water their lawns to once a week and prohibits washing vehicles on residential driveways. The restrictions also place limits on water use for businesses and the city itself. The death toll in Maui continues to rise following last week's devastating wildfires. 99 people are now confirmed dead, hundreds are still missing, and more have been displaced. Hawaii's Governor Josh Green also announced 2,000 housing units have been made available for those in need of shelter. The Maui fires have been the deadliest in the U.S. in more than a century.
The scale of destruction is incredible. Also, you know that we're well over 2,200 structures that have been destroyed. 86% of them are residential. These services, this shelter, these rooms will be free to people, and the resources will be covered through our disaster relief, through FEMA, through the state, through grants, Hawaii Community Foundation grants included. All of that's critically important. We've already placed 220 families into housing.
This morning's jump in the overall inflation rate has some economists raising the odds the Bank of Canada will raise its key interest rate next month. Food inflation was running at 8.5% in July, far higher than the anticipated inflation reading of 3.3%. RBC economist Claire Fan says food price inflation is expected to continue easing in the months ahead as lower commodity prices and easing supply chain pressures filter through to retail products. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre spoke in Toronto today about the inflation rate increase and the high cost of living, along with the directive reportedly given to cabinet ministers to trim federal spending by $15 billion.
Just inflation has struck again. Trudeau's inflationary taxes and deficits have sent prices rising again, with inflation on the march. Trudeau told us that he had the problem fixed last month. Well, it turned out that was not true. His carbon tax is driving up gas, heat, and groceries. Here in Toronto, it now takes 25 years for the average person to save for a down payment. Before Trudeau, you could pay off an entire mortgage in 25 years. Now that's how long it takes just to get a mortgage. We have nurses living in vans. I've got a carpenter who lives in his car. We have seniors in Penticton who live in parking lots, middle-class seniors in Canada after 8 years of Justin Trudeau.
Poilievre says axing the carbon tax would help make life more affordable for Canadians, something he promises a Conservative government would do. Canada's Treasury Board President Anita Anand requested cabinet ministers find a way to cut back $15 billion. Toronto Sun columnist Brian Lilley says this shouldn't be a problem since the Liberal government has already overspent.
So she has put out a memo to her ministerial colleague saying by October 2nd, we need to find $15 billion in savings. That may sound like a lot, but not to this government. That's how much spending has gone up. So I applaud them if they can do it. It will help. You look at what the spending in previous budgets between the April 2022 budget and the November economic update. Chrystia Freeland added $20 billion in spending. That was over 6 months. So finding $15 billion in spending when every 6 months you're adding another $20 billion or so, that should be easy to do because spending has gone up by so much that $15 billion is actually a minuscule amount. Sad to say, but true.
Lilley also breaks down today's jump in inflation and discusses the war of words between Trudeau's environment minister and Alberta's premier. That is all coming up after Business News. Federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh held a news conference in Edmonton today to highlight his party's role in expanding the dental care program. He says the program, which allows up to $1,300 per child, helped over 10,000 kids in Edmonton alone and hundreds of thousands of children across the country. He says the dental care program will now expand to include seniors and people living with disabilities.
By the end of this year, it's going to mean that children 18 and under, seniors, and people living with disabilities all will be able to go to the dentist with a permanent dental care program that will ensure that their visits will be free. This will be life-changing for so many families. With the cost of living so high and the recent inflation numbers that have come out again today, which paint the picture, which many Canadians already know, life is getting harder. The cost of groceries are still up. The cost of mortgage, the cost of rent, the cost of housing is still up. And that means people are really squeezed and feeling a lot of pressure. And when you're feeling squeezed, that means you've got to make tough choices. And often that means important things have to be put off. And one of those things that gets put off is dental care.
Between $10,000 and $15,000. That's what officials with Calgary's Alpha House Society say it could cost to repair damage to dozens of their outreach vehicles. 13 of the nonprofit's 14 vehicles had their tires slashed while parked at the organization's administrative location in the city's northeast last Friday. The Public Health Agency of Canada is reporting there are signs of COVID-19 infections that they may be slowly starting to rise again after a long period of gradual decline, even though the overall virus activity is still low to moderate across the country. McMaster University immunologist Don Bowdish expects the EG5 subvariant, which appears more contagious than past ones, will start dominating in the coming weeks. Tourism Lethbridge has partnered with the Downtown BRZ to officially launch a new initiative. The initiative is called Sip, Taste, Explore, a Southern Alberta agri-venture, and it's all about promoting agri-food tourism and business. Erin Crane, the CEO for Tourism Lethbridge, explains the importance of campaigns like this one.
One of the great things about tourism is that it is really led by residents and getting people out from the community into those tourist places, teaching people to be a tourist in your own backyard. That's just as important as those big events that we always host. And we know that what's important to visitors is what's important to residents. So when you like something and you tell your friends about it, that's the economic value that we want to see here in the city.
More information can be found on the Tourism Lethbridge website. A special life-sized chess set is celebrating its 10th anniversary in Lethbridge. It was carefully constructed by members of the Chinook Wood Turning Guild and features 32 giant chess pieces made from 500 square board feet of maple and walnut wood. BCN's Micah Quinn was at the Galt Museum and Archives on Tuesday morning to get a closer look at the intricate chessboard, where a noteworthy game was on full display.
The chess game is is, usually has this connotation, well, you have to be smart to play this game. No, you don't have to be smart to play this game. You have just to have an aptitude for the game.
Chess has risen in popularity as of late and has even been recognized by the International Olympic Committee as a sport.
The intent is, you have 8 pawns in the front, and then you got the main pieces in the back, and the intent is to get the king, you see? But the trouble is, you're not the only one who's trying to get a king. The other person is also trying to get your king, you see? So that's where the challenge comes in, as to where to put the pieces where, and which ones to use first, and all this sort of stuff. It's very, very challenging. We have a list of about 50. Not all of them show up every time, but many of them are very regular, and because they really enjoy this game.
The idea to create a giant chess set for the community was first brought forward in the winter of 2012.
8 people got involved in making these, and we spent a total of about 500 hours working on these before we had something that was presentable. 10 years ago then, the inaugural game was played here on this set with these trees being much smaller, and that was the 30th of July.
Staff at the Galt Museum told us the chess set is available for members of the public to use on a daily basis.
Whenever the museum is open from Tuesday through till Sunday, and those who would like to play an outdoor game of chess, all they have to do is talk to our visitor services representatives that they would like to do this, and they will gain access, and we can roll these out and they can enjoy.
It's wonderful, and it doesn't cost anything.
For Bridge City News, I'm Micah Quinn.
Well, it's that time of year. The Lethbridge Corn Maze has officially opened for its 24th season. Theo Slingerland, the owner of the maze, says since opening day, they've seen the average number of visitors that they are used to for this time of year. He explains what this year's theme includes for the mazes.
We have been growing here for 24 years, started with the corn maze only, now we've been adding things. So this year, the design of the corn maze is made of a train, and it's driving. It's actually an old-fashioned steam train, and it's driving on a high-level bridge. So that's what it looks like from the air. So there is a couple different mazes inside this maze, like our big maze, which is of course always the hardest maze. Takes anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours. Or the trivia maze that has questions about the high-level bridge or the train. And if you know the answer, we'll send you the right way. If not, we'll send you the wrong way. And they all lead to the middle, or kind of the middle, where the tower is.
This year's season will be open until the end of October. Alberta has been seeing more and more film and TV production lately. So are we becoming more of a Hollywood North than Toronto or Vancouver? Well, Brock Skredding is with the advocacy group Keep Alberta Rolling. He says what is helping to make our province more attractive to producers are incentives the Alberta government is offering.
I mean, I think the provincial government is doing it. The film and television tax credit has been a game changer. They've been supportive in working with the municipalities. I think some of our secondary municipalities like Lethbridge, like maybe Red Deer, Medicine Hat, can start thinking about regional development so that it's province-wide and not just Calgary and Edmonton-centric.
We're going to chat all things TV and film with Brock Skredding from Keep Alberta Rolling. We'll also chat with U of L professor Derek Olson and award-winning director Scott Sikkema coming up in the second half of our program. Jose Bautista signed a one-day deal with the Toronto Blue Jays so that he can retire with the team where he had some of his best seasons. Bautista says he wanted to sign this ceremonial deal for years, but had to wait due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
This has been a long time coming, but as we know, there were some challenges a few years back, and this was the soonest we could get it done. I appreciate the gesture. I owe a great deal to this franchise. They gave me a chance, and I was able to accomplish a lot here. So I definitely was already in my head retired as a Blue Jay, but to make it official, it's kind of cool. 10 years is a long time, so there are a lot of memories. So a lot of great memories, a lot of great relationships and connections made here. There was a lot of great talent in those teams, but sometimes in baseball it doesn't work out as easy and doesn't reflect in wins when you even have great groups of players playing together. But I don't know, it just kind of, it was good to see that with some winning, that passion and that love for the Blue Jays that you constantly hear people talking or heard people talking about at the time, was reflected with showing up in the stands and just getting to the ballpark every day.
Well, Barbie mania has hit the world over, including in Russia, despite no screenings of the movie. Due to sanctions imposed by the West as a reaction to Russia's military attack on Ukraine, Barbie fans can't watch the movie legally in Russia. After the release of the movie across the rest of the world, Moscow cafe OMG Coffee turned into a pink universe, and local fashion brands like Vitrines in the city of Chelyabinsk says that their best sellers are no surprise items in pink. The film's popularity could also drive up the price of collectible Barbie dolls. I should have worn pink today. I knew it. Well, a heat warning continues in the southern Alberta region for much of the week, with daytime highs reaching 30 to 35 degrees. Monday, we set records in Banff, Cardston, Pincher Creek, Tabor, and Milk River, but we should see a reprieve just in time for the weekend. I'll be right back with your full weather report. Welcome back. As I mentioned before the break, we are still under that heat warning here in southern Alberta. And as you can see, it's going to stay warm for the next few days, particularly Thursday, as we're getting up into the high 30s there. Looking at a high of 30 degrees Wednesday, up to 37 on Thursday. And then we're going to see that reprieve by Friday, and then especially when we get into the weekend. So looking at a high of 23 degrees on Friday. Saturday, looking at a 30% chance of showers, also 18 for a high, and 22 for a high on Sunday. Looking at a 60% chance of showers by Sunday evening, and into Monday, high of 24. We could see a few showers on Monday as well. So the average high for this time of year, 26, average low 10 degrees. 34 was our high temperature on this day back in 1961, and in the year 2000. Look what happened there. High of 3 degrees only. 6:22 is when the sun rose this morning, and our sun set this evening at 8:49 p.m. Let's take a look at what's happening across the nation. Okay, we are still seeing a heat warning in effect on the south coast in British Columbia. So right in this area here. 28 for a high in Victoria. Going to get warmer though later on in the week. 26 for a high in Vancouver, of course. Much warmer inland. Clear skies there as well. 24 for a high in Edmonton. Not bad at all, mainly sunny skies, and Calgary high of 28. And then of course under that heat warning, Calgary is going to see it get up into the mid 30s on Wednesday before a reprieve by the weekend. 22 for a high in Saskatoon. This whole area here in the prairies looking at a special air quality is in effect because of the local smoke that is affecting the area. Also high winds. So Saskatoon area looking at up to 60 winds, mainly cloudy skies, but that local wind or local smoke rather affecting the area. 22 for a high in Regina. Regina could see some showers. Also some thunderstorms in the evening, but local smoke and air quality index in effect there. 70 winds for both there and Winnipeg as well. 23 for a high in Winnipeg with some local smoke as well. Okay, so as we get to Toronto going to be the sunny area. That's the sunny part of the central part of the country. 26 for a high there, 25 in Ottawa. Ottawa looking at a 70% chance of showers tomorrow, and Montreal 40% chance of showers, high of 23 degrees there. As we look to Atlantic Canada, Fredericton seeing a 60% chance of showers, looking at thunderstorms there, 23 for a high, 21 the expected high in Halifax. Also seeing a 60% chance of showers tomorrow. Risk of those thunderstorms. 21 for a high in Charlottetown, looking at a mix of sun and cloud. Also some fog patches dissipating in the morning. And St. John's looking at a high of 17 and seeing a slight chance of showers mixed with some drizzle there throughout the day. So there you have it. That is your forecast. A Montreal-based urban fish farm is hoping to shape up the aquaculture industry by being ultra eco-friendly. The company started when the two founding members met in college while studying aquaculture. Their business, called Opercule, is raising Arctic charfish using no antibiotics, no chemicals, no treatment, and consuming much less water than their competitors. They say they even have plans to deliver to customers on e-bikes.
We started like a small pilot project in my garage where we reared rainbow trout, Arctic char, and went to see the restaurants to give out samples, and now we have a commercial fish farm in Montreal.
So right now we're farming about 25 to 30 ton of Arctic char. The Arctic char is in the same family of salmon and rainbow trout, but the taste is a bit more delicate. Also, it's a fish that is indigenous to Quebec, so there is no risk of introducing any invasive species.
We're not trying to prove anything, but we're trying to do things the way we think they should be done, right? So we're raising fish to sell them, and we think about every little step in all the production, the way we deliver, the way everything is done. We try to do it like in a more eco-friendly way, because that's how we think it should be done.
Yeah, like even for the boxes for the delivery, we remove the styrofoam. We use recyclable cardboard boxes with insulation in it, so that they can just take it and put it in the recycling instead of just putting it in the landfill.
The Canadian Real Estate Association says July home sales saw the largest year-over-year increase in over 2 years. On a non-seasonally adjusted basis, sales edged up 8.7% from July 2022. However, on a seasonally adjusted basis, sales saw a 0.7% dip from June. CREA senior economist Sean Cathcart says the numbers indicate housing markets have settled down in recent months and prices are moderating. Now here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was down 390 points on the day to finish at 19,899. The Dow was down 361 points to 34,946. The S&P 500 went down 51 points to 4437, and the Nasdaq went down 157 points to finish at 13,631. West Texas Intermediate Oil was down $1.47 to $81.04 US per barrel. Natural gas was down 13 cents to $2.66 US. Gold was down $5.10 to $19.02 US an ounce, and silver was down 7 cents to $22.53 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $10.31 per bushel, barley is at $8.16, canola is at $17.78, and corn is at $9.70 per bushel. Live cattle were down 65 cents to $179.10. Feeder cattle were down 35 cents to $245.88. Lean hogs were down 95 cents to $78.20, and the Canadian dollar went down slightly over the past 24 hours to 74.08 US.
Recapping one of our top stories, members of the Canadian Armed Forces have been mobilized to the Northwest Territories today as wildfires threaten communities, including the capital, and hundreds of people have been airlifted to safety. The military is expected to send a helicopter and airplane along with 124 soldiers. There are currently over 230 active wildfires in the territory, and 5 communities have been evacuated. More than 21,000 square kilometers have burned so far this year. Yellowknife declared a state of local emergency during an emergency council meeting last night. Up next, I speak with Toronto Sun columnist Brian Lilly, who breaks down Tuesday's jump in inflation and discusses Anita Anand's directive to the Liberal government to cut back $15 billion in spending. And if you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. And if you missed any stories from today's newscast, be sure to visit our website at bridgecitynews.ca.
Here's today's Bridge City News community calendar. The Lethbridge Senior Citizens Organization is looking for volunteers to take part in their Drive Happiness program. This program is to help seniors in our community who are facing extreme loneliness due to lack of accessible transportation. Volunteers drive clients to their medical appointments, pick up groceries, and take them to important life activities. If you're interested in this opportunity and for more information, visit lethseniors.com/volunteer drivers. Lethbridge Legal Guidance is a nonprofit society offering free legal advice to low-income Southern Albertans. It holds clinics on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. by appointment only. Some of the areas the society assists in include family, criminal, traffic, immigration, EI, and other issues. For more information, call 403-380-6338 or visit their website, lethbridgelegalguidance.ca. And that's today's Bridge City News community calendar.